Right, I know you guys have been waiting. This is it. Hey, this is Donovan Sadiq. This is Don't Believe the Hype, the Donovan Sadiq Show. I am with my longtime co-host, Tay, the Wild of the Wilder.
Here we go.
And she is animated, as you guys know. That those of you guys that know her, she is one of those citizens that likes to ask questions. She is she's bipartisan, being that she doesn't care which side of the answer it is, as long as it's the right answer and it's the right thing to do.
It's a truthful answer.
Truthful answer.
I'd rather you be honest and tell me that you're doing something wrong than lie to me and then I find out later, because then that just makes you look bad.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, the person of the hour is Dr. Carla Thornton, one of my favorite people because she's also an Air Force veteran. So this is an all Air Force panel. Dr. Thornton, how are you doing? Thank you for coming. I'm going to give you props because a lot of people do not want to come on the show because either they have something to hide or they're just scared to talk to the resident. I'm a resident. I got to vote. So, and unfortunately, in your district, I can't vote. But again, I give everybody free advertising. It's very good. So how are you doing today?
I'm feeling blessed. I'm just, so happy to be here and be able to be up and mobile and feeling spirited. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is my first time doing this type of format. So
we're gonna make you look good.
I know. I'm sure.
I will not do my veteran. I will not do my fellow Air Force veteran like that. But if you were in the Marine Corps, or the Army, maybe I might do it.
So, and that's what I'm counting on.
Okay.
I'm counting on to get a little favor because I'm a fellow airman.
Yes, exactly. Real quick, did you happen to watch the city council meeting last night?
No, unfortunately, I was out knocking on doors, canvassing. I did have intentions of going to the city council meeting. I have seen a couple of posts of things that went down, but we're counting down. We're almost 30 days out,
30 days
so
out.
I'm sure it was more the same.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course. Louise the Clown Palomares closed it out as usual. As you know, I ran in a special election in this district, and we recalled Victoria Bach, and unfortunately, LaDonna Jimson had some things in her past that came back to bite her on the butt, and thus the return of Victoria, the criminal Baca. So I have a little experience in running, so I know you are just being, going to work and being torn here, got to go to this meeting, got to go to this, and it's a lot of pressure to do that. And so for those that don't know, running for office, it is very taxing. It takes a lot of time from your family. You have a beautiful daughter that that has things that she has to do. You have to get her
such a sweet little girl.
Yeah, and it's really important, especially in this city, because as you know, we don't have any black representation on the council. Not that that means anything,
but it is nice to have somebody that's relatable to me. And not just, but it also gives you, as the voter, I get to see that you do have something, you're invested in Moreno Valley for a reason, not just for the sake of running, but for your daughter, because she lives here too. She goes to school here. She'll eventually, get her first job here. You're invested in the city, so it makes me, it kind of makes me glad to see that you do have a vested stake in Moreno Valley, no matter if running or not. So now, I can, you're more relatable now that I know that you're a parent, you're working within the city, you're doing all these things within the city. But before we start to deep dive into these questions, do you want to go ahead and, give the city just like your platform while you're running?
Well, tell us about you.
Yeah.
So we were chatting it up. Before the show. They had a lot of it in common. You guys had the same AFSC. For those that don't know, that's your job.
We actually kind of migrated. We went in the same time, the same year.
Wow.
We're same career field. We came in the same time. What else? We were in North Dakota around the same time. I had to hang it up.
Yeah, me too.
I was too far north.
Since you guys were up north, I heard about those underground parties and stuff that was going on, within the community, I was in Alaska, so not much to do. So the black folk, we played spades. We had all little groups.
Oh, okay. Well, you made it sound a little bit more
scary. Oh, no. We're talking about military,
But see, Grand Forks had a bigger city than Minot was, so they had, at least concerts came.
Right, okay.
Concerts came to her area. They wouldn't come, because we were
in the middle of North Dakota.
We were literally 2 hours from the Canadian border, so.
Yeah. So before I get started explaining about my platform and myself, I want to speak quickly about my daughter. So my daughter turns 10 next month. And I'm just so proud of her. When I was really thinking about running for city council 2 years ago, I'm a single parent. So I was thinking, like, how's that going to impact her? And someone said, you know, well, you bring your daughter along with you. And she is such a trooper. She goes and knocks on doors with me.
Right on.
She, you know, she's super proud. And at the very least that I'm having her civically engaged at this level, and I'm role modeling for her the importance of just putting yourself out there and coming up with a vision. And
being involved in the community.
And being involved in the community. And she was just she's the best. We're going to Walt Disney World next month because she deserves it. You know,
right.
You know.
Wait. Did you go get your military discount IT tickets? And
yes.
Okay,
I've already done all that.
All right.
So a little bit about me. So we moved out here in 93. So I went to Palm Middle School and Canyon Springs High School. And right out of high school, I joined the Air Force.
Wow. Okay.
And we. I always stayed a resident of Moreno Valley the entire time I was in the military. And when it came time for me to decide where I wanted to live, it was never a question. I knew I was going to move back home to Moreno Valley. And I ended up living with my parents for about 5 years. And when it was time for me...
Save that money.
It's expensive. And when you leave California at a young age and you come back, you don't realize the cost of living is so expensive here. Yes. And I really wanted to spend my time saving money, right? And so I utilized my VA home loan and bought a home right around the corner from my parents.
Sure.
And this is all in District 2. So I've grown up in District 2. I know, you know, how it looked 20 years ago and how to leave and come back and the growth.
Sure.
But like you said, to speak to what you said, it's like I made a commitment to raise my daughter here, and I'm definitely invested. So in the military, as you two know, like they dump tens and thousands of dollars into leadership training for us, right?
Yeah.
And
well, they wasted their money on me because
did they?
Yeah, it was a waste. But okay, yeah, I'm with you though.
Thanks, Major. Appreciate that.
And so when it was time for me to come back home, I was looking for opportunities to continue to serve my community. So within like 6 months of moving back to Moreno Valley, I was like, okay, well, what can I go? What board or commission can I apply for? Sure. And so I applied to join the Environmental Historical Preservation Board here. So I was an appointee for that and I served on that for 5 years, and I ended up being the chair of that board.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah. So and then after that, I left that board and became an appointee on the Traffic Commission, and I served on the Traffic Commission for about 3 years. Ended up chairing that board too, and my term just expired over the summer.
Was Corey Jackson on that board with you?
So he was on the board for the first year.
Okay. So you guys have some familiarity.
Yes. Yeah. I ended up meeting Corey while I was on the Traffic Commission. Gotcha. So we served together. And I did reapply to join the Traffic Commission. However, I did not get reappointed.
Of course.
I mean, you know, so I think there's still some vacancies on the Traffic Commission. So if there's anybody out there that's...
Unfortunately, if you're not a friend of the Highland Fairview 3, you're not going to get appointed. But still apply. Still apply, right? And there's other vacancies, too, on other commissions. So... I'm committed. I have that city experience, and about 2 years ago, what really ignited this interest of me to apply was that there were times on the Environmental Board and the Traffic Commission that we would make recommendations to the city council members, and not one time did our recommendation get followed. Not one time.
Wow.
And I figured...
What a surprise.
And I'm saying this is like in the last, 8-9 years.
What a surprise.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my name in the hat next time it comes around. And because, you know, we have these boards and commissions, these people who are participating and volunteering, who are subject matter experts.
Sure.
And,
we have a lot of talent here in Moreno Valley.
A lot. And I know that if I were elected, that I would provide those individuals with a space to have their voice heard, and because I know my character, so I decided to run.
Oh, awesome.
So on top of that, I'm a social worker. I have my doctorate in social work, and I'm an assistant professor at Cal Baptist University.
Go ahead, sister.
Did you?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you know, training Christ-centered social workers have an impact here in the Inland Empire, and I'm just so fortunate to be in that position and to work for a great organization. CBU is amazing, and that's what I do on the
I did not know that. You know, I mean, I give you the benefit of the doubt, but no, I'm just saying that's very impressive find that out about you. Because like I said, I support, whatever's going on. But when you really get to really know these candidates, because you guys go to forums and they don't really ask real questions.
And see, that's the thing. That's why I kept, that's why I did email a lot of the majority, a good chunk of the candidates. I have a couple more that I need to reach out to. So I think sitting down one-on-one, having a conversation is a good way to get to know people, period. But it takes you outside the forum where you're not kind of forced to like give your
canned answer.
You can actually be
yourself,
without, all the people trying to edit and, just the art. I like the forums, and the forums have been great, but I think this sometimes is just a better way to get to know a candidate. That's why I appreciate you taking the time out, because I know you do work. You are a mom, and you got doors to knock on and say, hey,
but hey,
guess who I am?
Yeah, but you guys got to remember, even though nobody watches my show, listens to my show, but they don't do it, but they quote everything that I say. It's free advertising for you, and that's what I try to tell these candidates. I don't care who you are, I don't care what because I know what's going on. You're not going to fool me.
Yeah, I mean, and we tell people, I've told people, if you just want to come say, hey, I'm running, this is who I am, and walk out.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. But it's just definitely just more of a get to know you. Especially, I'm not a voter in District 2, but I still, no matter who is in that District 2 seat, it will impact me overall because of the city.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is just.
Again, Dr. Thornton, I personally thank you because, like I said, it's just, getting to know that information, I had no idea. And if I didn't know, as you know, as the Inland Empire farmer, if I didn't know, there's a lot of other people out there that did not know that information. So let's get into it.
All right.
Let's chop it up. And I want to chop it up, but we got some questions for you, and I hope that some of these questions will help some of the people that are wondering about you and thinking about voting for you to make a good decision and push you over that edge, because every vote counts.
Every single vote counts.
So I think one of the I think for me this is a kind of fun question because I like to know. It gives me a little insight about who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. But what's your favorite thing to do in your district? When you're at home and you're in that area and you're with your daughter and you're chilling, what do you do? What's your favorite thing to do when you're up in District 2?
So. To be honest, and I hope I don't get judged by this. I hope I don't get judged. I like to eat. Okay. So curry and kebab, that is my spot.
I stop there every now and then.
That Indian food is amazing. Amazing. We just grew up as a family bowling and going out to eat. Going to the movies. Those are the three things that are our family tradition, and we still do that. So whenever we have an opportunity to commune around food, we're going to curry kebab, we're going to green onion, some chips and salsa. And so for District 2 specifically, those are the two things that we love to do.
See, that's good. I went to green onion for the first time, and I was like,
it's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, just kind of speak a little bit more louder.
Okay. I know.
So, Kay wants to be kind of keep her sexy voice. And stuff, so.
I speak very low, which is funny because when I was in the military, I did not.
You got to inflect that voice, okay, a little bit.
And tell me if I get too loud, because I'm the opposite.
I want you to be animated, but let's alternate questions here, because like I said, we got her in the middle, so she can't run out of here. So she's stuck for a bit of time. What is your vision for Moreno Valley? I mean, we know you're running now. Yeah. So running is one thing. What's your vision? Where are you going to take us?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like when I get asked that question, when I think about what my vision is, it's about being someone who is innovative, is seeking funding opportunities at the state and national level to be invested into our community, to be someone that's strategic and ensuring that I'm working and collaborating with our internal stakeholders and outside collaborators. And I feel like that's something that's been missing. Having someone that's on the city council thinking about the unintended consequences to every decision that's made. What is the 5-year, the 10-year, the 15-year impact? And working with our community members and our constituents to figure out, like, where do you see Moreno Valley going, right? And ensuring that there's some type of vision and mission that we're all working towards. And I think that that's been missing. And so I hope that really answers your question. It's like me providing my leadership and my strategic skills to helping progress our city forward.
Okay. Awesome.
being that you've been in the military, you've had all these, we talk about leadership training, because we've been to the academy, we've done all these, the Senior NCO Academy, all these other fun things. Do you hope to incorporate those skills, those, all of those wonderful books and things? How do you take that, and how do you plan to incorporate that into your platform and into when you sit up on the dais, and you're working with all these different personalities and the residents? How are we going to work with all those people?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't have a military background, I spent 20 years in the Air Force, and I really enjoyed it for a number of reasons, because at a young age, you're getting the opportunity to manage multi-million-dollar equipment, budgets. They're gradually giving you responsibility concerning supervising. So you might start off with like one person you're supervising, then 10, then 50. I ended up being blessed to be an opportunity to supervise about 100 people towards the end, right? On top of that, some of those value systems, those core values that the Air Force especially has: integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And that core value really became my own personal core value. And so the way that I plan on implementing that as a city council member is the same way I've done it in my boards. And it's not a coincidence that I've been nominated by my peers to be chairwoman of every board I've ever served on, is that really bringing collaboration and this open door and this approachability, right, that I have. Like I'm open to listening to people's perspective, really getting the buy-in, taking the time to get the buy-in of not only my fellow city council members, our board members, but also the constituents. And I think that training came from the military, because even though, it is our responsibility to follow the orders, right? To protect and defend. Absolutely. But at the same time, you have to get their buy-in. Because if they don't believe in you and what you're saying, you're going to find, okay, it's going to be a failure of leadership. And so the military really showed me how important it is to make sure that you're being able to be accountable and that you're able to communicate your message and get the buy-in of people, and taking the time to do that. And so that's what I hope I'll have the opportunity to bring to the city council, when I'm
Right. Well, you got a background. Like I said, you are a certified logistic. How do you say that?
Logistician.
Logistician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or box picker.
Right. Now, I have two questions. Now, one that's very important to me. I've been here for 41 years. Okay, I'm one of the few people that have seen this great city grow. Of course, our demographics have changed. Because back in the day, if you weren't affiliated with that military base, nobody really lived out here. Everybody lived on the Riverside and everywhere else. So we have a lot of warehouses already in the city. As you know, we are back to square one with this WLC madness, whatever. Now, I don't think we should have any more where we have more than enough. I don't know if you watched the last debate. Shalinda Bernard, who's running in District 4, as Kid Creveris tried to, spin this thing, he's talking about, well, these, he admitted it. Oh, these low warehouse jobs, right? This is what he's saying. But Shalinda came back and said, but you keep approving these low warehouse jobs. Are you going to continue, when you get on the dais, to vote for warehousing?
Wow. Okay. All right.
It's a yes and no answer. Are you going to continue to do that?
So, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a yes or no answer. And I'm going to tell you why. I feel like it's really complex. So, I am pro-business. Okay, we do need to increase our revenue stream in order to increase public safety, in order to increase investment into our infrastructure, because like the roads. So how do we do that, right? Somehow we found ourselves in this position where the logistics and the warehousing has become this industry of ours, right?
Inland Empire, yeah.
And it's based upon our proximity,
sure.
And they have all types of things
right.
and data that they'll throw out. So I don't feel like it's a yes or no answer. I feel like, first of all, my core says that for the warehousing and the buildings that we currently have, we need to make sure that those spaces are being occupied. Okay,
well, and that's a big thing, because if you roll down, Alessandro, you'll see a lot of
buildings.
freshly built warehouses.
No occupants.
But they're completely empty, and that's a waste of square footage, just a waste of space when it could be utilized for a different business.
Right. And in making sure that when we have these business individuals, these developers that come to us with a plan, that we're saying to them, okay, so what is the long-term impact?
Mm-hmm.
How much are you willing to spend to ensure that the infrastructure around that warehouse is like you're paying for that's being developed,
mm-hmm.
That there's enough not only jobs, but that we're collaborating with local colleges to ensure, right, that there's certificates, associate's degree, bachelor's degrees. I feel like that there needs to be more thought in future approval of this industry in our community.
I agree.
And that we need to really be strategic, and that's the thing I think that's been missing, is that there is not a streamlined strategy to bringing it in. And if a plan came before me, because we go to the planning commission first,
sure.
right? If it came before me, I would be that person that's like, okay, I need more information. We need to make sure that there's more plan, that there's more investment before we approve it. But if that did come to me in that type of format, mm-hmm. then they might get my yes. They possibly could get my yes.
And we were talking about that earlier, Kay, and you kind of said the same answer she just said, because you guys have the background of it. Everybody knows my stance is I'm not against warehousing. It's not in the right location. So I think that is the thing. And we're having idiots up there, and this is me, not her, Donovan speaking, that don't know what they're doing. They don't have a background in logistics. They hear jobs, but they don't understand the parameters before the warehouses come and how it comes into the city and how it's going.
Well, and I'm sorry, just because I know you're going to say something, but I just really want to use this form to let you all know. So I have, in the Air Force, I did logistics for 20 years. Right. Okay, I have an associate's degree in logistics, mm-hmm. supply chain management.
Absolutely.
And Tay, we did the same thing. Yeah. So I know logistics,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so I know the good
and the bad that comes with it.
And the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I know it's needed. It's needed. We have to have a supply chain management. You know, when you guys are ordering on Amazon Prime, that thing is getting to your door somehow.
Yeah, and
right.
I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a process when it comes to supply chain management. It's not just I click, order, and then it just magically shows up to my house by FedEx.
Right.
What I do agree with you with is that if we're going to continue to build these warehouses, then we need to develop because one of the things that I looked into was I wanted to see if there was a supply chain management certification out here. Is there the green belt, black belt? Is there anything
mm-hmm.
out there?
Well, Ito was supposed to have built that.
But there's no RCC doesn't offer. Nobody offers.
Ito was supposed to have built that when it was approved.
Any type of supply chain, because even when we first started in the military, kicking boxes, as a 3-level. Until they gave us those CDCs.
Get out there and push that pallet.
We were kicking boxes, pushing pallets. We were sanitizing boxes. Right. So you start from somewhere, and then you move up the chain as you get your experience. Yeah. But there's nothing in the city, especially as big as the Inland Empire is. I shouldn't have to go out of the city to go to school to get my supply chain management certificate. Even if you don't get your bachelor's in logistics. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. You weren't here for the WLC wars.
No.
That was supposed to be part of what Ito incorporated in the approval of the project. Because, I'm not an expert like you guys are, but I happen to know this. You can't build a warehouse, or let's say you can't build airplanes without an airfield.
Right, but what I'm saying is we're shooting ourselves in the foot when we talk about these low-paying jobs mm-hmm. because we don't have the education available to help those people move to warehouse
$25, $30 an hour jobs.
We don't have that, and I feel we're doing a disservice to our youth to give them a whole city full of warehouses
at low paying wages.
At $10, $11, $12 an hour. Well, now Amazon's $15 an hour. But it's still we're doing it a disservice to our kids.
And these people are killing themselves.
Well, and they are.
Yeah.
And they are.
So, I used to work at UC Riverside, and I know the School of Business, and I think they did implement a sub-concentration in supply chain management.
It's a sub-concentration.
And I believe Moreno Valley College, I don't know if they're offering the certificate now or the associates now, but there were talks of that. Mm-hmm. And so that is something that I would definitely work towards is partnering with our local, because these community colleges especially, they're looking for opportunities to increase enrollment, right? They want to stay in tune with what the workforce is needing concerning training. And so I believe that there is a unique opportunity to get on board with the California community college system, especially because we want to partner with the state agencies or schools to offer academics to match up with this industry, so that it can progress our residents. And so we need to have people on the city council who are willing to do that work. And I have the experience and I have the connection to do that advocacy on behalf of myself.
So I'm going to redirect back to District 2 because I know one of the hot button issues that's going on up there is the old Ralphs.
Yes.
That seems to be like, I was not here when it was open. So
I was.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. And I know I've gone up there because there's a couple of places I like to frequent up there that's up there. But so what's the plan? Is there someone coming in to take over that space or?
Yeah, so from my latest information was that we did have someone that purchased that center, so that's great. So just a little history. Like I went to Canyon Springs, so that when I went to Canyon, that place was up and it was amazing. The Boopa's Pizzas was up there. Did you grow up around that area?
No. I'm a little older than you.
Oh, okay.
So there was no Canyon Springs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Ralphs, and I don't know if you haven't driven up there lately, it's
a different world compared to down here.
Terrible.
They need to really invest in just the line, like repainting and resurfacing.
Do you realize you're in Edgemont and you're talking about resurfacing all the problems you see around over here in my kingdom?
Listen.
You feel like you're in a third world country.
No.
Well, we're not in the real Edgemont, but if you go
it's
over
okay.
there,
I don't live in District 1. I live in District 3. So I'm second.
But let's be real.
third world.
Edgemont has been, neglected, but I understand what you're saying about you worry about home first, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, District 2, we are in a little bubble up there, and
it's a beautiful green.
That's your lake up there.
And grass, and I'm like, wow, I gotta email Dave and say, can I get some grass down here?
We got dirt here, and people that can't speak the language.
I got bums peeing in the parking lot.
I don't have a bathroom.
So back to District 2.
Right.
And so, I think it's going to be very imperative, and I hope that this has already been happening, and I'll talk to Councilmember Gaiba to ensure there's a great turnover done concerning that. But with the developer that's purchased that area, to ensure that there are businesses in there, but at the same time, the community members need to ensure that they're frequenting those businesses, right?
Right.
Whether it's a bank or a doctor's office or, a nail salon, these are some of the stores that residents have said they want back up in that area, that they have to frequent and provide, and spend their expendable income in that area in order for that industry to thrive there.
Wow.
So, I think it's going to be very important. That area is beautiful. It's right across from that beautiful lake.
Yeah.
And so that is something that would be top high priority on my list of things to do. Is because especially with the 2 murders that occurred at that Jack in the Box, it is so sad and disheartening to see how it's been up there, and I think it needs great investment, and that would be, like I said, a top priority of mine.
Right. Now, we've been talking about sity issues, and we'll do that on the second half, but I'm glad you kind of direct us to District 2. Let's keep our questions to District 2 so that those people that are listening on District 2 can kind of hear what she's going to do. You have another candidate you have a bunch of candidates that are jumping in.
A bunch of candidates.
Okay, one candidate, he's every time you talk to him, everything's about football, and I'm not here to ask you to bash this candidate, whatever it is. What makes you, other than your whole experience of being in the community, being actually from here, and all that other stuff, what are you going to do different that's going to separate you from the other candidates? Because everybody's coming in there, I'm this, I'm that. I played at USC. I'm a football player. What's how are you going to get my vote?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So can I answer? Can I just say one thing real quick? So I'm a Trojan.
All right.
Okay, and I haven't had a chance to really advertise that to the people.
Okay.
But I have my master's in social work and my doctorate from USC. I'm a proud Trojan.
There you go. Okay.
Not only that, but I'm a very active participant. I'm an alumni, and I also am been so fortunate to serve my alma mater and being a appointee on their advisory board for veterans, for a center that researches military and veterans thing. And that's really hard to be alumni appointed on USC stuff.
Yes, it is.
And so every time one of my candidates, says he's a Trojan, I'm like, yeah, fight on. All right.
Right.
So let me just throw that plug out there real quick.
Well,